Good morning, boys and girls. So go ahead and grab your journal and your pencils. Make sure they're sharpened and get ready to start the class. I want you to look up at the board and we have our warm-up. So in your journal, write what you think these words mean. Rising action, climax, falling action, and resolution. I'm going to give you like 5 minutes to do that while I get some things done. And then once we're all set, I'll call you down to the carpet. So I'll give them like 5 minutes to do that. All right, boys and girls. So put everything away. Just grab your journal and your pencil, and then I'm going to call you down to the carpet by table number. So table 1, come down to the carpet. Table 2, come down to the carpet. Table 3, table 4. Okay. All right, boys and girls. Today, we are going to talk about what makes a great story. So if you can see up on the board, I have 2 stories. I'm going to give you a minute to go ahead and read them to yourself, of course. And then I want you to think, which story is better? So I want you to give me a 1 for 1 and a 2 for number 2. So I'll go ahead and read them to you so that you don't have to struggle. Number 1, there was a boy and he lived in a house. He went to the store and came back home. Okay. Number 2, John's mom gave him $100 to go buy some food. On his way to the store, John kept moving the money around from pocket to pocket. He just could not believe he had $100. When he got to the cash register to pay, he looked in his pockets, but the money wasn't there. Okay, so I'm going to give you a few seconds to think about it. Think which one's better. All right, so go ahead now. Show me with your fingers which one's better. 1 or 2? Okay, so at this point I'll see, and hopefully all the students would have picked 2. And then this is where I'll ask them, oh, well, what made it a great story? What do you think? Why did you like story 2 better than 1? So what I'm expecting for the feedback to be from them is for them to say, oh, well, it had characters, and I want them eventually to work up to it had a problem. So then I'll say, that's right. You know, in number 2, it had characters, it had a problem, it was interesting. And this is all thanks to plot elements. So I will go ahead and then introduce today's objective. So today, guys, we're going to talk about plot elements. So not just talk about plot elements, we're going to learn how to analyze plot elements, including the rising action, the climax, the falling action, and the resolution. So as you may have remembered, yesterday we actually went in depth on what each of the plot elements meant. Well, today we're going to actually run the test, and we're going to go ahead and actually read the book, and we're going to analyze it together, and then we're going to go back to our seats, and then you will be analyzing a story of your own. Okay, so analyzing plot elements. So I'm just going to go back through it. Let's look at our anchor chart, and I'm just going to give you a refresher. So yesterday we were talking about plot elements. So we discussed that we have 4 plot elements. We have the rising action, the climax, the falling action, and the resolution. So we said, what was the rising action? The rising action is when the problem is introduced. Okay? So we make our way up. It's like a little roller coaster, right? Our story is building. First of all, what we talked about earlier in the week was how we have characters and a setting, right? So this is our exposition part. But today we're talking about the plot elements. So yes, rising action, and then we start moving up, and then we're here at the climax. The climax, remember, is the turning point. It's the most dramatic part of the story, and this is usually when the conflict is faced. So then we get down to our falling action. So the story begins to slow down, and we start to see the effects of the climax. And then we have our resolution. That is when the problem is fixed. So these are our plot elements. And again, today we're going to learn how to analyze it when we read a story. So today we will be reading the story, Too Many Tamales by Gary Soto and Ed Martinez. So as I am reading this book, I want you to be thinking about the plot elements. So just think, now what's the problem? And at what point was a climax? And the falling action and the resolution. All right. Snow drifted through the streets, and now that it was dusk, Christmas trees glittered in the windows. Maria moved her nose off the glass and came back to the counter. She was acting grown up now, helping her mother make tamales. Their hands were sticky with masa. "That's very good," her mother said. Maria happily netted the masa. She felt grown up, wearing mother's apron. Her mom had even let her wear lipstick and perfume. "If I could only wear mom's ring," she thought to herself. Maria's mother had placed her diamond ring on the kitchen counter. Maria loved that ring. She loved how it sparkled like their Christmas tree lights. When her mother left the kitchen to answer the telephone, Maria couldn't help herself. She wiped her hands on the apron and looked back at the door. Oh, so I want you to stop and think. What do you think Maria's gonna do? I mean, look at that picture. And then they'll raise their hand and then they'll try to tell me and I'll be like, oh, well, let's see. "I'll wear the ring for just a minute," she said to herself. The ring sparkled on her thumb. Oh, if you said she was going to grab the ring or if you thought about it, you were right. Maria returned to netting the masa, her hands pumping up and down. On her thumb, the ring disappeared, then reappeared in the sticky glove of dough. Her mother returned and took the bowl from her. "Go get your father for this part," she said. Then the three of them began to spread masa onto corn husks. Maria's father helped by plopping a spoonful of meat in the center and folding the husk. He then placed them in a large pot on the stove. They made 24 tamales as the windows grew white and delicious smelling curls of steam. A few hours later, the family came over with armfuls of bright presents. Her grandparents, her uncle and aunt, and her cousins Dolores, Teresa, and Danny. Maria kissed everyone hello, then she grabbed Dolores by the arm and took her upstairs to play, with the other cousins tagging along after them. They cut out pictures from the newspaper, pictures of toys they were hoping were wrapped and sitting underneath the Christmas tree. As Maria was snipping out a picture of a pearl necklace, a shock spread through her body. Oh, what do you think? What do you think, Maria? Why do you think Maria reacted that way? And then again, they will raise their hand. They're like, "Oh, she remembered that the ring." "The ring!" she screamed. Everyone stared at her. "What ring?" Dolores asked. Without answering, Maria ran to the kitchen. Remember, be thinking about the plot elements. The streaming tamales lay piled on a platter. "The ring is inside one of the tamales," she thought to herself. "It must have come off when I was netting the masa." Dolores, Teresa, and Danny skidded into the kitchen behind her. "Help me!" Maria cried. They looked at each other. Danny piped up first. "What do you want us to do?" "Eat them," she said. "If you bite something hard, tell me." Now, does that seem like a good idea? Can you imagine eating all those tamales? I mean, I would enjoy it, but let's be honest. Sounds like a tummy ache to me. The four of them started eating. They ripped off the husks and bit into them. The first one was good, the second one pretty good, but by the third tamale, they were tired of the taste. "Keep eating," Maria scolded. Corn husks littered the floor. Their stomachs were stretched till they hurt, but the cousins kept eating until only one tamale remained on the plate.